In this presentation, we will print reports for February from QuickBooks, including the profit and loss report and balance sheet after entering data through and from the bank statement into the check register, sorting them by class. Here we are. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. On the home page, we have the Open Windows open. In order to open the open windows, we want to go to the View drop-down and select the Open Windows list. We're now going to go to the Reports drop-down up top and go to the Company and Financial and take a look at the Balance Sheet Standard. Balance Sheet Standard. Within the Balance Sheet Standard, we're going to run the report as of, let's go to the end of February, 02/29/20. February 29th, 2020. Here is our report reporting both the business and personal on the same balance sheet report. Note that it's more difficult to break out the business and personal on the balance sheet as we've been entering data from the bank statement. We've been entering activity normally measured on the income statement. Balance sheet's going to be a bit more difficult under this method to break out, especially given the fact that we have one checking account and we're breaking out the detail from that checking account as we enter the data. Also note that as we enter other information into the balance sheet, then it's going to be both business and personal, and we may have to go back and enter some data if we choose to, related to large purchases or large loans or things like that, a mortgage, credit, if we have other types of loans that are out there, or if we have a home that we need to put on or a car that we need to put on. Those types of items we would need to put in place. What we're doing now is tracking the detail as we enter information into the bank statement as we do activities. Also note that it's possible to try to sort some of the balance sheet accounts by class, and you could mess with that, but it's probably not something that most people are going to be advanced enough to deal with, meaning the classes most people can manage on the income statement fairly well. As we enter the income statement, I think it's more than manageable. On the balance sheet, you can try to sort by, let me show you. If we go to customize and we go to the filters, we can go to classes and we can try to filter by class, saying personal or business. But when we do so, I'm going to say okay. It's going to say, it looks like something in your file is causing your balance sheet to go out of balance. Why? Because it can't figure out how to separate the classes. And part of that, if I say save and close, then notice the assets have gone away because in part the checking account is not sorted between two classes. So you'll note there's no class, there's no checking account. So this doesn't work for most people. It might give you some idea of the personal and the business, and you might be able to use it possibly to construct the rest of the financial statement. But just realize that the balance sheet by class is probably not something that's going to be used by most small businesses, although the profit and loss by class is very useful. So I'm going to undo that, go to Customize Reports. We're going to go to the Filters, and we're going to go to the Classes, and then if I remove select filters, it'll go back and we'll be back in balance. It's okay, everything's okay, we're still in balance, so it's good. So we're going to print this report out. We're going to go to the reports up top and print the reports. We could save it as a PDF. I like to use the PDF printer, which is here. It's free, you can download it. I think it's a useful thing to have. I'm going to put it into a folder called Business and Personal Files for February. And put the name is going to be something like, I'm just going to abbreviate balance sheet for February, and I'll keep it at that, and we'll save that. And then we'll take a look at the profit and loss reports by going to the reports drop-down, company and financial. Take a look at the profit and loss standard first, and changing the dates from 01/01/20 to the 12/31/20. Here is our report. Before we complete this one, let's take a look at the profit and loss by class, which we probably want to look at first before we do anything funny to the profit and loss standard. So we'll go to the reports drop down again, company and financial. We'll take a look at the profit and loss by class. and changing the dates from 01/01/20 to let's say 02/29/20. And the reason it's important to do this is because we want to make sure there's nothing in the unclassified columns and just kind of double check everything that looks properly classified. It's classified in this case by the account being business or personal and by class. So this is a business account. It's in the business section. These are personal accounts. They're under the subcategory of personal, and there's nothing in the business side. They're all personal. So that looks correct. This is on the expense side, a business account, and it's all under business. That's correct, meaning there's 0 over here. These are going to be all business accounts. Nothing's in personal. They're all business. So that looks good. And then these are all personal down here, and there's nothing that's in the business side. It's all on the personal side. So the reports, just going through them fairly quickly, look good, look like they're reported properly. This report's our main report that shows these two broken out. We can minimize the personal side if we wanted to and get the detail in this format, or we can maximize the personal and get the detail here. So this is the main report that we want to work from and then format from this report. So for example, once we have this report, we may not want to give this to other people, but we want to make sure that to review it before we give to others. How could we format it then? To give to others, most people would want the business information and part of the personal, meaning for tax preparation, we may need things like the charitable contribution. In that case, we could just double click on this. Here's the detail for this time period and print this report and give that information to, say, tax professionals. We could pick and choose the personal data that's necessary to give to somebody. And then on the business side, we might want to filter. We can just go to the customized reports up top. We can filter, and then we can filter by class and go to the classes and just say business and OK. And that'll give us the business data here. This is a nice report. It still has the total, however. We could get the same information by going to, now that we're convinced with this report that it looks good, we could go to the profit and loss, and if we needed to print that report, if we just want the business report, I'm going to change the end date to 02/29/20. If I just want the profit and loss for the business, I could do the same thing. Customize report. We can go to the filters, and we can then change the class filter, and then change the class to business, and then OK. And you'll note we have a pretty nice business report that was taken from our combined account using business and personal. And that's one way we can use this. We can change the name up top if we need to by going to the customize and going to the headers and footers and change this to just business or whatever our business name is. We could change this to income statement if we wanted or something like that. And there we would have that in a pretty professional looking report. And that's one we could print out if we needed to give it to someone. We can go to the, of course, print report, and I'm going to print it as a PDF, and I'll save this as business January and February 2020 and save. And then if we want an income statement for just the personal, we can go to customize, filters, classes, changing this to personal, OK, and then change the name now, all right, customize, headers and footers, and then have this be the personal. So if we wanted to give someone just the personal report, we could do that, right? If we had someone that just needs the personal information and not the business information, we can make a pretty nice report just giving that data. And we could memorize these two reports as well, so we don't have to reformat the way we just did, memorize these reports. So if we went to memorize this profit and loss, we can standardize the name and then go to memorize reports and find them more easily, and so we don't have to go through this process each time. So I'm going to go to the print and then reports, and we'll print this one out. and save this as profit and loss personal, profit and loss per. So those are just a few options that we can do with this report. Make some pretty professional looking income statement reports for business, professional, or both. If I remove the filters, of course, and go to filters, classes, and remove them, then that'll give us everything. This will be a profit and loss, business and personal. I won't change the header, but this is business and personal. That 20,828 then is what we find if we go back to the balance sheet on the net income. So this net income here has to roll over to 20,838, and that's one reason the balance sheet QuickBooks has a more difficult time breaking out by class. And so it's possible, if we assigned everything out, but again, it's kind of glitchy in the fact that you could end up with reports that are unbalanced, partially because the checking account would need to be broken out, even though it's the same checking account. That's a problem to try to figure out how QuickBooks will assign, business and professional personal checking account when they're using the same checking account. So just note that you can go through here, but what you're really going to have to do if to get the balance sheet numbers is you could sort by class and then just kind of fill in the difference on which is not business and personal. So it could help to sort by classes to get a start, or you'd have to basically go back through here. When you think about the balance sheet, of course, you're thinking about the things where you stand at a certain point in time. So all the items on here will be balance sheet accounts, and you'll just have to decide which of them are business related and personal, and then you can construct a balance sheet from it. But of course, the checking account is something that's being split under business and personal. So I won't get into a whole lot of detail there, but just note that's part of the problem on the balance sheet. It won't break out as easily, but most of the stuff we're tracking is usually performance data, once again, on the income statement, typically being profit and loss data, which is something that we can use the same account for and break out pretty well and make pretty professional reports fairly easily using classes that we don't have to run a risk of not being in balance or anything like that typically, and reports that are fairly easy to fix and reassign classes if we misclassify anything. So those are going to be some of the reports we can have within this setup. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.